Hello, welcome everyone to yet another new family and parent orientation session. Hello to everyone joining us across the US and across and around the world. Whether you're watching us live or viewing a recording of this session, we're so glad you're able to spend the next hour or so with us so we can talk through what we know is a very important topic. Today's topic always brings up lots of questions, particularly because of the logistics involved preparing for your arrival to NYU. So let's not waste any time. Let's get right to it, and let's move on to the next slide and review our agenda for our time together. We'll spend some time, of course, doing a welcome and grounding us, as I always do, in our parent and family relationship, helping you understand how we work with you in support of your students' overall success. We'll share some broad information and notes that you should keep in mind as we prepare for the fall 22 move-in. We'll spend some time speaking specifically around residential life at NYU and what the program consists of. And we'll talk quite a bit about how to get around campus, particularly on move-in and welcome weekend. That's a busy weekend for us. And then we'll also share some information about what you can expect as a part of this experience. And we'll close up, of course, sharing information for our upcoming webinar. So again, thank you and welcome. Let's get started. Moving on to the next slide. I often spend time helping us get grounded in understanding how we will work together as you as an NYU parent and family member, and us as the administration and those who are here to tend to support and care for your students, and especially focusing on how do we help them be successful throughout their 4 years here. Our goal in all that we do, be it our engagement opportunities, our on-campus programming, our webinars, and our newsletters that we put out specifically for parents and families, our goal is that we help support you as parents and family to be partners in empowering your students' overall journey and their holistic success. And as we often talk about, there are 3 goals that we aspire to. And the first is helping you understand and giving you insight into today's college experience, understanding that the university life foundations and the experience of college going students today may differ from your experience if you went to college. We also focus heavily, and this is the big analogy that I use, and important one is helping your student or helping you be a compass to your student. Give me the information, the resources, and the tools you need so you can begin to guide your student throughout the start of their time with us, but also throughout their 4 years, all right? So we often focus on how are we the compass versus how are we the drivers, right? Helping you learn the tools to navigate, to help your student navigate, but not navigate it for them. And finally, a lot of our goal is to also provide opportunities for you all to come together as members of the NYU parent and family community. It's an important part of our work, and it's something we look forward to, particularly as we get closer to Welcome Week and having you on campus throughout that time. We'll move on to the next slide to talk a little bit more about how we achieve this. Our goal is always to let you know what you can expect moving forward and providing you just-in-time information. We've been doing that over the course of the past few weeks, sharing and hosting a few webinars. Today, of course, we are at our important webinar focusing on preparing for your arrival. We have 2 more set up for the rest of the summer. Next week, we'll talk about navigating NYC, all that the city has to offer, but also doing it safely. And on August 17th, it's really what we're going to focus in. What is there all to do here at NYU so your student can begin to find their home here with us? A reminder to always, if you can, participate in our new student send-offs. Last week, I talked about my experience and opportunity to connect with our friends in the West Coast at the LA send-offs. And also, we had a couple opportunities to connect with our folks in the tri-state area over the past week. If you can, it's a great opportunity. Please know that we'll share more information about upcoming events. Specifically in the next couple of weeks, we'll begin to share a lot more information about the events that will be available to parents and families at the time of move-in and welcome week. Next slide. As always, we encourage folks to please use the Q&A feature to ask any questions you may have. Please note that because we have content experts here today, we always encourage you and always ask that you please limit your questions to the topic at hand. Please know that if you ask a question, most likely the individual who inspired that question is actually presenting. So it might take a bit of time to finish delivering information and have time to get to your question, but please rest assured that we will get to your question throughout the time of our webinar. No need to resubmit the same question. If for some reason we do not get to your question, we will, of course, follow up virtually via email. I will also say that our sessions are always recorded and will be shared out. It takes about a week or so to get the sessions, the video recordings accurately transcribed. So it does take us about a week to get that out, but we will be sharing those for all the sessions we've done in the coming weeks. All right, next slide. So today's topic is incredibly important. As you know, no matter where you're going, the process of moving always brings about many questions and, of course, always some angst. And for us, it is important to spend time with you to share some of the insight and wisdom from our expert panelists who are here today, dispel any misconceptions, and also answer questions you may have. We've seen it all as it relates to moving and navigating campus. So please know that there aren't many questions that surprise us. So we're here to stand ready to support you and help you as you begin to navigate and transition, of course, your student here to NYU. I have the honor to work with these amazing folks, and I always spend some time in every session talking about the folks representing. And I'm really proud to say that these folks are incredible, amazing individuals. They are extremely collaborative partners who are always centered in your student success and overall ability to thrive while they're here at NYU. They also are amazing folks who I get to laugh with and have a good time with. So you are in for a treat in hearing from these expert panelists, again, on what is an important topic. Move on to the next slide. I wanted to specifically speak to parents and families who will be on campus. We can go to the next slide. Regarding many questions have come up about whether or not parents, families, and our friends will be allowed to be on campus for move-in and support. And I can share and report back that we are happy to share that parents and family members and friends will be allowed to attend designated welcome events and help students with their move-in, specifically during the 2-hour arrival appointment. So if you're here, you can absolutely help your student, your child, your friend move in for that 2-hour arrival gap or arrival appointment, but also attend any of the events designated for folks to attend during move-in and welcome week. So again, I will ask and share that there's a couple of things to keep in mind. First, there are some requirements. We're asking that all parents, family, and guests provide proof of FDA or World Health Organization approved vaccination +1 booster. Vaccination exemption. I'll talk a bit about that in a second. Please know that verification sites will happen, will be across campus. Specifically, you'll be able to check and have your vaccination status verified at your student's assigned residence hall. So once you're going to move in, you'll have folks outside the building doing the verification. We also will have folks specifically stationed at the buildings that will be hosting welcome week events for parents and families. So if you're moving onto campus, proceed to your students' assigned residence halls as normal. There'll be someone outside to help check your verification of your vaccination and your 1 booster. If you are off campus but attending some of the events, please know that all of the buildings that will be hosting events during welcome week for parents and families, you'll be able to have your vaccination verified in that space. We'll send some links in a couple seconds talking more about that. Please also know that as part of the verification process, you will be given a wristband. The wristband is what's going to allow you to access the spaces that are designated for you all. Face coverings will likely be required or will be required during that weekend. So please be prepared to, of course, don your face coverings when you're in NYU building. For exemptions, we'll send more information later around exemptions, but please know that exemptions are granted only for medical and religious reasons. I'll submit the link and share it with you all in a couple of seconds regarding vaccination exemptions requests. Please note that a vaccination exemption request requires a negative test 3 days prior to your arrival. So that means that if I share the link today, you cannot submit the exemption request today. It will need to happen 3 days before. So if your child's move-in will be on Friday, you'll need to submit it on Wednesday before arriving. If their move-in day is on Saturday, you need to submit the exemption request on Wednesday. If it's on Sunday, you'll need to submit it by Thursday, 3 days before, so that you can submit proof of a negative COVID test 3 days prior. The link that I'll share will have all that information. This is quite a bit of info, I know. Please note, this is not the first and only time you're going to hear this. We'll be emailing you with these specific instructions. We'll be reviewing this again at next week's webinar and in the following webinar, Finding Your Home at NYU, when we really will get into more details about what's being offered on campus. So some good news. Folks have been concerned and asking whether or not folks parents and families and friends will be able to be on campus. So they are. with some expectations and requirements, of course. So let's move on to the next slide. I have the privilege of handing it off to two of our amazing colleagues, Christina and Alfredo, who will talk a bit more about who they are and what they do. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Christina. I am a Central Assistant Director here at NYU in Residential Life and Housing Services. So specifically, I oversee all of our first-year residence halls in our Manhattan campus as well as our Brooklyn campus.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome. My name is Alfredo. My pronouns are he, him, his, and I'm a residence hall director at NYU for one of our first-year halls. As an RHD, I supervise the full-time professional staff in the building, and I help with the community development in the halls. So as we get started, you should know that we will host a webinar on August 1st with more detailed information about move-in, and that is focused for the students moving in on August 27th and 28th. So we encourage you to encourage your students to join us for that webinar. Next slide.
Awesome. Well, as Fredo shared, we are very excited to welcome you all, to welcome your students to campus August 27th and 28th. There will be a lot of events happening around campus in addition to move-in at the residence halls, again, here at the Manhattan campus and at our Brooklyn campus. And so we just wanted to share a few tips to help the process go smoothly. So we'll be talking to you about that through over the next few slides. But when we're talking specifically about the residence halls, we want to just share a reminder with you. Your student received an email, so their housing assignment notice, and in that email, and it included a link for your student to sign up for their 2-hour move-in time slot. Please make sure to follow up with your student to make sure they signed up and that you all are arriving during your designated time. As Ralph shared, that's the period of time where you will be allowed in and out of the building with your student. And we're super excited, again, that there's no limit, right? So please bring the family, everyone that's coming to support your student to campus to help them get adjusted, get moved in. And just so your student is aware, they are able to change their move-in time slot themselves. So there's no need to reach out to our staff. If a time slot is available, your student is able to go into our system and adjust that themselves. All right, so next slide. So we want to share some things that you and your students should expect when you arrive on campus for Welcome Weekend. And we want to make sure you keep in mind that the information we're sharing, it applies to our Brooklyn and Manhattan campus. Our operations will be running similarly at both campus. And as I shared before, there will be a lot going on, a lot of excitement, a lot of people. I know our staff, our teams are really excited to welcome you all. And so these are just some things to keep in mind. The weather, please check the forecast prior to your arrival. Obviously, we are not in control of the weather. We cross our fingers and hope for mild temperatures and no rain. But in the event that there is rain or we're expecting extremely high temperatures that weekend, we just ask that you come prepared, dressed appropriately, bring your water bottles, rain gear if necessary, to just help make things a bit easier as you're navigating your arrival on campus that weekend.
And then also the next one is traffic. It is thousands of people moving to campus that day. So sometimes there will be waiting lines for check-in and for the moving carts. So just come prepared with your shoes and, like Christina said, water to wait a little bit, because there'll be wait times as the traffic flows. And sometimes the waiting line is really short. So we're doing our best to make it a smooth process for everybody, but there will be waiting lines. And the next one is elevators. We have limited elevators. So sometimes there'll be a line for the elevator that will delay the process a little bit, but we encourage you, if you're able to, at least come down the stairs, because that helps a lot with the flow of the traffic. So if you can go up in the elevators, but is able to come down in the stairs, we encourage that as well.
So on campus, we will have staff members as well as volunteers to support and assist you all, provide directions. Folks have great tips about restaurants and things to try in the area if you are interested. So just expect whether you are in buildings on campus, there will be administrative staff available. We will have student volunteers. We'll also have additional staff volunteers. And the same will be true for the residence hall, right? So we will have the building leadership teams present. We will have volunteers from campus. We will have upper class students who volunteer at our first year residence halls to provide that support and help our first year students transition onto campus. Another tip, so at the residence halls, we will provide carts, dollies, and hand trucks to assist with your move process. Of course, if you're able to bring your own, that will make things run a lot more smoothly. As Fredo mentioned, there will be lines. A lot of those lines will be folks waiting for carts and things. So if you're able to bring your own, that is ideal, but we will provide them for you. And again, you all, we sort of call you move-in helpers, right? You're here to help your student move in, bring their belongings, get settled. So anticipating that your family will be on campus, but also just the families of all of the other students that will be arriving. Next slide.
So one of the questions we always get is about parking. So regardless if you're moving on campus or off campus, it's important for you to get used to the in New York City parking. But for people moving on to on-campus housing, you cannot leave your car parked outside the residence halls. It's going to be pretty much stop, drop, and go, meaning you're going to stop, drop your student with their belongings, and then you need to go park the car. You can download the Spot Hero app and use NYU 2026 for a discount. But people also asked us how much parking will cost. And I'm not sure about the app and what you're going to be able to find that day. But in New York City, sometimes it's going to be at least $18. And it could go up based on hour and time and minutes and all of that. So the most important thing to help us is you're dropping off the items and then finding parking right away. Next slide.
Awesome. So a lot of what we just spoke about is transferable, as I shared, to our Manhattan campus, our Brooklyn campus, to students who will be living on campus, students who will be commuting to campus. So now we are going to transition to talking specifically about the residential experience. Next slide.
So welcome
Awesome.
home. Yeah, so welcome home. It's great. So we have 22 residence halls located in both Manhattan and Brooklyn. And like, as you can imagine, we have around 12,000 students moving in during that time. So it's going to be busy, but we have both traditional suite style and apartment styles. And also we have residents grouped in first year and upper class. So if you're a returner student, you know the process, but that day is for everybody. So there'll be a big group of people coming. But in order for us to successfully support 12,000 students, we have amazing resident assistants, more than 250, and 60 plus professional staff members who are here dedicated to the residential student experience. And that is my favorite time of the year, when I get to meet you, the family, the parents, the friends, and the students, because that's what makes our job so exciting. So I cannot wait to see you next month. Next slide. And what we offer. So there are so many great things we offer. Social and educational events. So we have programming throughout the year that students and RAs are put together either through House Council or the community. We have also the RAs helping navigate roommate relationships. And Christina is going to talk a little bit about that later. Those are trends that we see every year. There's always sometimes interpersonal relationships that happen, and we are here to support that transition, which is great. And we train our staff and students to be able to navigate those conversations. Mail-in packages. Every residence hall has a mail-in package room. And we'll talk a little bit more later about shipping and mailing items to the residence halls. So we're gonna go back to that in a little bit. And we offer, by living in the residence halls, we offer some supplies, toilet paper, trash bags, and some other materials, but we do not provide cleaning supplies. And that's a question we often get. Do we provide supplies? No. So the student is responsible for buying their own cleaning supplies for the year. Community standards and accountability. All the residents living with us, we are living in a community. So there will be some guides and policies that students need to follow. And when that sometimes students don't, they meet with me, which is great. They get to talk to me and we get to have a conversation about decision making and they can learn from it. Our goal here is always to have a conversation about growth and development when students don't make the right decisions living with us. And last but not least, laundry. Sometimes might be the first time students are learning how to do laundry or doing laundry on their own. And we have laundry rooms in every single residence hall. And it is $1 to wash and $1 to dry per load. So we also have a lot of signage, and we help students in the first week of teaching them how to do laundry if they don't know. But that's a little bit about us. Next slide, back to you, Christina.
Wonderful. So this slide is all about packing, right? So we are sure that you and your student are beginning to discuss what items they will bring with them. I'd also like to share for the parents of students that will be moving into apartments off campus. This is also something for them to consider, even though this is very specific to our expectations for the residence hall. It's something that you all may want to keep in mind as well as your student is preparing to move to the city. So of course, there are items that we prohibit. So to be honest, if we see this item on move-in day, we will kindly ask you to return it to your vehicle and you will not be able to bring it into the building with you. And all of these prohibited items, it's based on safety and taking into account the size of the spaces that we are offering to students. So of course, outside furniture, fire hazards is very important. We take fire safety very important and want to make sure all of our students are as safe as possible. Air mattresses, electric heaters. There's a more extensive list on our website. If you follow the URL that you see at the bottom of the screen, it will link you to more details and additional information. But of course, if you have questions about whether a specific item is allowed, please reach out to the residence hall that your student is assigned to, or you can contact our central housing office. So these are the basic items that your student will find in their room. So this list of what we provide, each student in this suite gets exactly what's on this list. And so moving to the next column, when you were looking at our suggestion to pack light, we encourage you to pack light. Please do not pack up the U-Haul and make your way to New York City. Again, keeping in mind the limited space that your student will have and the fact that they are likely sharing it with others. So some necessities, right? They need bedding, they need linens, of course, their personal clothing and toiletries. Again, with clothing, just keeping in mind like what they actually need and whether there's an opportunity possibly for them to come home when the seasons change, maybe to swap out some of their clothing because of the limited closet space that we provide. Also want to highlight the bullet point about decorations. We encourage students, yes, be creative, make your space your own. Just please be mindful of the items that they are using to stick things to the wall. We don't want to have any damage to the wall, right? We want to minimize that as much as possible. So we just ask that folks are mindful of that. And a special note about mini fridges. Some of our residence halls do provide mini fridges, and I'm speaking specifically about our traditional first-year halls that do not have full kitchens. So some of them provide mini fridges. Check your student's residence hall's website to determine whether they do. If you choose to bring a mini fridge, please just take a look at our guidelines around the size that we permit and keep that in mind as you are purchasing items and deciding what to bring. Next slide.
Shipping. So unfortunately, we are not able to accept any packages or mail until the student officially moves in. So every student who lives in the residence halls will receive a mailbox in the residence hall lobby in the resource center area usually, and they'll get either a code to access that via email or a key to open. So if they have a key during moving, they'll get the key. If it's a code, the resource manager will send an email to the student after moving. So we just ask you to please wait until after you officially move in or the student officially moves in for you to send any items, because if you get it before that, we're going to have to return to the sender. And also it's important, we always get questions from family, friends. I sent a package, it says was delivered, my student hasn't received yet. At NYU, there's a little bit of a delay after it says was delivered to the residence hall. We still process internally the package, and then we send an email to the student saying, you have received a package, please come pick it up. So it might be a 1 or 2 day delay, so that's normal. Don't need to be alarmed about it. And then purchasing door items in the city, that's something I received questions already, which is like, I don't need to pack everything. I want to bring everything with me. It's up to you, but we do have Bed Bath & Beyond, Target, Marshalls, Home Goods around the residence halls in this area. So you'll be able to also drop off some items and then go to the store and purchase whatever is missing. Now, next slide. Christina.
So we're here year round, right? The staff that we've mentioned that will be present during Welcome Weekend, that does not end during Welcome Weekend. Especially in the residence hall, we have a team of staff that includes professional staff members and student staff members. The student staff members are upper class students that are here. They live, they work in the residence halls to support your students. So Alfredo's going to talk us through the residential life staff that your students can reach out to if anything comes up.
Thank you. So there are 3 levels. So we always have an RA, resident assistant, RA at home. That person is available for lockouts from 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. in other situations. So that's one of the layers that we have that are in the halls year round. We also have the RAs for each floor who provides the community connection, who are there to support your students, who are there to create programs and have the conversations and help them feel a sense of belonging to New York City and New York University. So they are fantastic. And then I supervise the person who supervises them. That's how the structure. But we have instant response administrators and professional staff on call who are here 24/7 for any major incidents, crisis. So the instant response team are the first non-clinical pro staff who responds to anything related to an injury or related to any situation the student's going through. They will come to the residence halls and address that. And we also have the building leadership team that it's me, the residence hall assistant director, and the residence hall resource manager. The 3 of us are the BLT, building leadership team. We are here 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday to help with any situation in the building, with facilities issues, events. Like this year, we hosted a boba tea with the BLT in the lobby where I got to engage with the residents in Rubin Hall. So there are many things that we do beyond just community development, which is behind the scenes. A lot of the room changes, rosters, conduct, all of that we happens behind the scenes. But that's a little bit of the structure of the residence hall community. And I'm going to pass to the campus safety team to talk about the campus safety officers in the hall. Patty.
Yes, thanks, Fredo. Hi, everybody. I'm Patty McSteen. I'm the Senior Associate Vice President and Deputy of Global Campus Safety. And that includes our Manhattan, our Brooklyn, as well as all of our global sites and campuses. And in the Department of Campus Safety, we actually have all kinds of different responsibilities. We're really focusing tonight, though, on what you need to expect on move-in week. So when Fredo was talking about who's in the residence hall, that includes our uniform staff. So one thing to know is that in every residence hall, we do have our uniform staff there 24/7. So they are there at all times. And one of the things that students will get when they move in is their ID card. So campus safety has oversight of the IDs, the security, and security systems rather. So they'll be getting their ID when they check into their res hall. For those who are not living on campus, we will be set up in Kimmel Student Center. So those students can pick up their ID then. So that's something that they'll be getting at move-in weekends. So the other, the other things we wanted to talk about is, when you think about the community within the residence hall, our officers are absolutely part of that community. They serve as a conduit with our housing and residence life staff. If students need help making contact with an RA, if for some reason they're not able to get in touch with them, they're there as a resource for them. They'll help them facilitate if there's, if there's a lockout and they're having trouble getting in touch with someone. But really, helping with making them feel safe, making them feel secure. I know that's probably on the minds of all of you here tonight. We're going to spend a lot of time with you next week also. But the one thing we really wanted to talk about this tonight is really about getting around New York City. So I want to introduce my colleague, Greg Rivas, who does all things transportation. So Greg, you want to take it away?
Yeah, thank you, Patty. So good evening, folks, and welcome to the NYU family and community. My name is Greg Rivas. I'm the Director of Transportation Services within Campus Safety. And with that, I oversee our university's transportation services. So campus shuttles, our overnight Safe Ride and Brooklyn shuttle, as well as charter services for different areas of the university. Additionally, I participate throughout the year through our engagement function to provide training and resources for getting around the city and staying safe, and navigating the concrete jungle that is New York. So next slide. So we wanted to give some brief highlights of things, and we'll get into this a lot more next week, but just for that move-in weekend, wanted to quickly give you a review of our shuttle buses. So we operate 7 routes. For move-in weekend, we'll be operating 3 routes, and these 3 routes will connect resident halls outside the main Washington Square campus, as well as our Brooklyn campus, and then our First Avenue medical corridor. So for example, a student moving in, a bit of a walk from Kimmel and needs to get to an event that day at Kimmel, they'll be able to utilize our services. Your golden ticket for these services is your NYU ID. So you'll be able to just tap onto our buses, similar to how you're going to tap into all of our buildings. We encourage you beforehand in preparation to download Passio Go. So that is our all-in-one shuttle bus app. So you'll be able to track buses real-time location, see the capacity and the current ridership of each of those buses, as well as get important service announcements. If you're not familiar with the New York area, traffic can turn on the turn of a dime. So it could be clear 1 minute and then we'll be in congestion the next. So we use this app to alert the community of ongoing and pressing events. Next slide. And then outside of our campus shuttle offerings, which is 7 a.m. to midnight, we operate a Safe Ride program. So this is in conjunction with our partner VIA to provide free services between about 40 or so NYU approved facilities. These facilities are mainly resident halls and 24-hour buildings. So for move-in weekend, you'll most likely be utilizing this to get to and from your resident hall and the Kimmel Center or BOPES for those orientation events. We encourage you to visit our website, nyu.edu/ride, and Patty's going to go into a few more resources available. But on that site, you'll be able to kind of see all of our services, specifically with VIA. You'll need to download the VIA app and claim a promo code in the middle of August, and that will activate your account in order for you to get the free service between operating hours. Next slide. And then in conjunction with that Safe Ride program that we operate, we also run a half-hourly shuttle between our BOPES library and then Point South and Brooklyn locations. So this is going to be utilized overnight if a Brooklyn student, for example, has an event on campus for move-in weekend or for move-in week and needs to get between the 2 campuses after the event is over. Again, this is trackable through Passio Go, and all the information is available on that website that I mentioned. Next slide. And then lastly, right, we are in and of the city of New York. We rely heavily on mass transit, one of the more complex, robust systems in the country or in the world. So we have a few tips that we wanted to share as you prepare for your arrival. The main one is download an app called Citymapper. You can find links on our website as well, but this is really a all-in-one navigating app that kind of will allow you to get familiar with the mass transit service offerings. And it's very intuitive in getting from point A to B. We'll go into a little more detail on this app next week, but highly encourage you to download it in preparation for your arrival. Few tips associated with using mass transit, right? So thanks to the pandemic, the MTA fully rolled out what they call OmniTap and Go, which basically means you can use your smartphone, your Apple Watch or smartwatch, or any credit card with a tap technology to go in and out of the subway system. So we encourage all NYU community members to make sure they have a credit card on site with them, and also carry a backup Metro card just in case your credit card is not working for some reason. We also encourage everyone to travel with friends and look out for each other. You won't be approached if you're traveling in a group, especially in those off hours. And then in conjunction with that, in that picture there on the left, above the man walking, you'll see a black and white stripe. So when you're in the subway systems, look for this on the platform. This is going to be an identifier for you to let you know where the conductor for that train is. So you'll be able to ride in the same train car as a conductor. And then as trains are approaching, right, stand back from the platform. So you see that red wall. We encourage users to stand as close as possible to the wall of each platform and away from that yellow marked spot where the trains pull in. And then finally, if you drop something, please leave it. It is not as important as your life. The train tracks look like they're really close to you, but they're actually about 5 or so feet below. So it's much deeper than they look. So please, if you drop something, leave it. All stations have communicating devices that you can reach out to either MTA staff members and or NYPD subway partners who will be able to retrieve the item for you and or claim it as lost. Next slide. And then I'll turn it over to Patty, who's gonna go over another very useful app.
Okay, thanks, Greg. One of the things that we really wanted to help give you all a heads up and certainly ask you to encourage your students is to download the NYU Safe app. And this app really is kind of like the one-stop shop for all things campus safety. It really will improve community safety because there's all kinds of services available. If you can see, there's a mobile blue light, and we have access to the transportation routes. You can contact campus safety through the app if a student finds themselves in a place where they can't speak. And there's also opportunities for you to link up with your friends who can watch your route as you're going home. So there's really a lot of great features, and we'd love for you to encourage your students to download that before they arrive. Lots and lots of resources there, as we said. And then next slide, please. And then lastly, we also have some other resources for you. I think, to make things easy for folks, calling us 24/7, we're always able to kind of help put you in contact with any emergency situations or help resolve any issues you might have. We have a victim services unit, as I mentioned earlier. Obviously, our website and our social media sites are also really good places for you to gather information of what's going on with all things safety. So it really is a philosophy that we have here on campus that safety is all of our responsibility. Obviously, for our department, it's at the forefront of what we do. But I'm really proud and happy that we have such great colleagues, especially in our housing and residence life department, to partner with us. So you'll see us around. I know on opening weekend, we're also planning to have an open house at 561 LaGuardia. So we hope that you'll stop by and say hello. And again, if there's other questions that you have, we're happy to answer those. So I'll turn it over now. Is that Christine?
Yes, thank you so much, Patty. So now we'll just spend a bit of time discussing what you can expect as your student is transitioning to campus, transitioning into the university, just based on trends that we see from year to year. Next slide. All right, so roommate conflicts, and I will share again that roommate conflicts can come up whether your student is living in on-campus housing or off-campus housing. They are very common. We recognize that it can be unnerving, especially thinking about folks that this is your first child that you are sending to college, maybe is your only child that you are sending to college, but we want you to be aware that roommate conflicts are extremely common. These are usually the topics that they revolve around. As you can imagine, cleaning can be a major issue when we are bringing folks together that are accustomed to different lifestyles, right? And so just some things that to expect. But again, as Fredo mentioned, we have our resident assistants around. We also have our professional staff. There are commuter students that work with students to also support them as they're navigating these types of issues. Homesickness, for folks that are not from the New York City area, homesickness can be a huge challenge for students. This is a brand new environment, especially folks that are not accustomed to a large urban environment like New York City. They can experience a bit of culture shock. Again, we say this is something that is normal. We expect this and we see this often from students, but that is why we have our staff to support them. That is why we plan so many events and opportunities for your student to connect and meet other folks, to help them process these experiences and these emotions and move forward, and to really find their place on campus, which leads directly to the next point, right? Students navigating connection and relationships among their peers. Making friends is huge, especially for our first year students. A lot of folks are anxious about finding their friend group, about finding their place in their niche on campus. We recognize that NYU is a large institution, and that can be intimidating. And I think something that we do really well here is that we create small communities, right? Pockets where students can really find folks that share similar interests, to go out and enjoy the city, find fun things to do in our Kimmel Center on campus, find awesome things to do in the residence hall. So we anticipate the students will face these challenges. And because of that, we also, like I shared, have the staff, have the engagement opportunities prepared to help your students navigate these challenges. Something I definitely want to highlight for our residential students is the living agreement process. So we will require your students to sit down and talk to each other about these common issues that we see, and set some expectations and some boundaries in the beginning, to help them when they inevitably come up against some challenges. They have agreements that they can refer back to. So we encourage your students to take these living agreements seriously, to listen to their RA, to reach out to their RA if they need support to navigate these conversations. Next slide.
And then often, like, family and friends ask us, what can we do to help our student who's going to NYU? So one of the main things living off campus or on campus is that encourage them to talk to their roommates. You have no idea how many times we get calls, or I talked to a student about a roommate conflict and I asked, have you talked to your roommate? And they're like, no. So that's one of the things we often encourage. Trust the process and have patience. What does that mean? It means that what I was discussing previously, it's important for students to have that skill. Sometimes they're coming from a situation where they always lived alone, never shared a room, never had to clean their spaces, and now they do. So that sometimes create conflict. And sometimes over the years, I've been in higher ed for the last 8 years now, I think. Oh my gosh, I'm dating myself. But what I'm trying to say is we've seen so many of this happen year after year that it's true. If they talk to each other, they will be able to resolve the issues. And if they are not able to resolve the issues, we have people on campus for residential students and for commuters who they'll be able to talk to. So we have resident assistants for students who live on campus and commuter assistants for students who live off campus. That's another resource they can go to for guidance, for tips, for advice. And we encourage your student to use the available campus resources. NYU is phenomenal. It's a great institution. If you already have somebody going here, you already know that we are here to support all of our students. So know that we have so many campus resources that we're able to offer, that encourage your students to actually reach out to those resources. encourage them to have the autonomy to do so, and you're going to see them grow and flourish and get a result. And with that, we're wrapping up. Back to Christina to get us all the way home.
So thank you all so much. Please, we encourage you, if you have questions about your student's specific residence hall, reach out to the staff in that hall. You can Google the name of their residence hall and get the staff's contact information. They'd be happy to speak with you, happy to answer your specific questions. Of course, you can always contact our central housing office as well. We have staff Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 present there. They can answer questions. And I'll just share, I've seen a few questions in the chat from families because their student has not received a housing assignment yet, but they have been receiving emails from us with information. We ask that you be patient. Our assignments team is working quickly to ensure that all of our incoming first-year students that need housing will have housing. You should anticipate updates mid-August, so please tell your student to continue to monitor their email. If there is a situation where we may have to place your student in a temporary housing assignment in order to make sure they're able to move in time for move-in day, we'll work with your student and support them for when we're able to move them to a permanent assignment. So all of that to say, please continue to monitor your email. If you're receiving emails from us, even though you have not received a housing assignment, you are in the loop and you are up to date. Please just make sure that your student has signed up for a move-in time slot, regardless of whether they have an assignment or not, and we will accommodate them regardless of what hall they are assigned to based on when they indicate they would like to return to campus, or excuse me, arrive on campus. All right, so I will pass it back to Ralph. Next slide, please.
All right, thanks everyone. We'll do something a bit unorthodox and off script. I'm seeing many repetitive and duplicate questions. So I'm going to go over what guest looks like at this moment and also give us some context. So let me start first with what you're allowed to bring. We will be here forever and a day in a few years if we're going to ask if every single item you can think of is allowed or not. So here's my recommendation. Look at the link that we've provided about what's allowed or what's not allowed. If it's not on that list, it's allowed. So no need to email about every single piece or item that you can think of. If it's not on that list, it's allowed. For vaccinations, very important that we go through this once more time and just make sure that we're on the same page. So it's breaking news. Yes, the website has not been updated yet, but it is breaking news that there are no limits to the amount of helpers that can be in the residence hall or that can attend any of the parents and family events during our move-in and welcome week. However, the requirement is that folks at the space of either the residence halls when they're moving their student in, or at any of the locations where events will be hosted, it is expected that in one of those two locations, you will provide proof of your FDA and or World Health Organization approved vaccination and booster. Both are required. We only need a COVID negative test for anyone requesting a religious exemption, right? A religious or medical exemption. So not having a vaccination is not itself proof of an exemption. It is, of course, requiring that you have a medical and or religious reason for that exemption. Okay, so I hope that helps out a lot with clarifying some of these pieces. For folks who have been asking what is there to do during move-in week, please know that we will absolutely go back and review that during the August 17th session. We talked a lot about just-in-time information. That will help us really give you all 2 weeks to determine how you want to plan to spend your time during move-in. So we will discuss a lot of that on the August 17th session, of course. I mentioned earlier that it does take us a bit of time to get these sessions transcribed. If you received an email for us, webinar email, a registration email, newsletter, please know that that same newsletter will be utilized in the coming days and weeks to get you links to the new and upcoming webinars, but also to share recordings of previous webinars. So it does take us a bit of time to get those transcribed, but I promise we will get those to you. My final tip and advice. This is a very logistically based and lots of detail infused presentation, and it's going to inspire lots of questions. My recommendation would be to please rewatch this session. It's going to have many of the answers, if not all of the answers you ask, all of the questions you ask would be answered. So please revisit the session. It'll be extremely helpful for you to do so. A lot of questions about parking, and I would say that if you're taking sort of public transportation or cab or car share service, they will drop you off. If they drop you off and keep it moving, that should be said. However, I will emphasize what Christina said, that parking in front of buildings will not be allowed. Believe me, I've tried, no matter how good my rationale is, for some reason, NYPD never buys it. So no matter what you think your good rationale is for why you should park in front of the building, it'll be hard to get our traffic folks and ticketing folks to buy your excuse. So with that said, I hope folks have a great night. Again, we covered a lot of information. Please feel free to review it. We will get this out to you soon. And thank you for spending the last hour and a half with us, or hour with us. We'll be in touch, and we'll see you next week for our next session, which is Navigating NYC, really talking about all NYU has to offer, all NYC has to offer, specifically for our NYU students, but also how to navigate the city safely. It's going to be an important session. We'll hear again from Patty and Greg and some other folks. Thank you for joining us, folks. Have a great night. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.